Hey everyone, welcome again to the 4LowRocks garage, and today it's out with the old and with the new. That's right, we are finally getting around to replacing the stock JLUR rock sliders with something much more heavy duty, much more beefier, and much more protective of the side of the body than the sliders that came on the JLUR. So everybody, these are the LOD Signature Series rock sliders. Very coveted and highly desired by almost everybody who owns a JL. They even make them for JKs and other models of Jeeps as well. What you get in the package are two very heavy duty, very beefy, and very significant in weight rock sliders. All of the decorative plates that go on the outside along with their name badges, and a big bag of very heavy duty bolts and nuts and hardware that are used to affix these to the Jeep. The nice thing that I really like about these is that they fit to the Jeep's body, to the Jeep frame instead of to the body as with the stock sliders. I'm going to tell you what, that was probably the toughest unpacking job I've ever had to do in my life. And I've been on this planet quite a few decades. You can see that LOD packs these things in here really good. You can virtually guarantee there will be no damage, scuffing, or any problems with them when you get yours in the mail like I did.
So installation of the new sliders starts with removing these old sliders, and you can see there are some pinch seam bolts right here, right there, on either side of the major frame mounts, or body mounts I should say, and then there are the body mount bolts, and all those have to be removed in order to take that off. And if you're a Jeep owner, you know what size nut to start with, right? It's a 10mm, of course. So let's get that going. Now I wanted to show you that these sliders have done their duty. They're a little bit beat up, a little bit rusty in some places. They've done some sliding, especially the one over on this side. This is the one that came off of the passenger side of the vehicle. And it seems to have taken a bit more abuse than the one on the driver's side, especially up towards the front here. Now that rock that hit the front portion here and dented it in also put a small crease in the body. It's nothing that's really readily visible. And it also did some nasty damage to the rear bumper, but that's a story for a different time and place.
So if you've seen these LOD sliders installed on other JLs, maybe other JKs, you'll notice that you can look down through them and you see this pinch seam on the body. It's rather apparent. It contrasts with my white Jeep against that black slider, and you can see all of the leftover ugly holes, and it's just not finished very well. So my plan is that I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to tape it off. I'm going to spray it with some flat black paint and let that dry. It shouldn't take too long so that we have a nice finished area, so when we look down through the sliders we won't be distracted by the Jeep ugliness that's left behind. So let's start by cleaning this up. With the Jeep being just over 2 years old and the veteran of many trail excursions, it's pretty dirty down here because this area just never gets touched, as it was previously behind that stock rock slider.
So the LOD slider is attached to these bolts that are right here on the frame, which is how they attach to the frame instead of to the body like the other sliders did. You have to take these two bolts off and they'll fit right around there. Now you see my frame is bent here. It is on the back one as well. I'm probably gonna have to pound that out if I can't get the frame or the rock slider up in there. So let's go ahead and get these bolts out. There's one. And the other one. So we've run into a little bit of a problem here on the driver's side, and that is the mounts for the rock sliders have to go around this big huge washer that holds the frame and the body together before these two bolts will fit on there. But it's not clearing in between the frame here and the body mount, so we're going to have to loosen these so we can get a little bit of wiggle room and we can get the rock slider frame around this big huge washer here. And that thing is on there tight. I'm using a big breaker bar for this. Okay. And we have to do the front one as well. And that thing is on there. Woo! Now you can see I'm getting some wiggle there. Exactly what I was looking for. We've got a flag bolt, or flag nut, I'm sorry. We need to put through the frame, come down here right above this hole. And then we've got a 19mm bolt and washer that we need to thread into that flag nut as soon as we can see it there. Okay, I can see it. Let's see if we can get it started. And there we go. And we'll give it a good tighten down since we've already put thread locker on that one. Okay, that's good and tight. So unlike the passenger side of the Jeep, this side already has a hole drilled in the frame where this long bolt should fit nicely through to be able to connect to the other side. I've already put a little thread locker there on that bolt, and we'll put the washer on the end of it, holding the other side, and the nut. I got some nice California mud back here. Also on the passenger side, if you recall, we had to remove the two bolts holding the skid tank, the gas tank skid tank, onto the frame. And since there's no skid plate on this side, we have a bolt here and a bolt farther up front here. But luckily the frame's already pre-drilled and tapped for those. And the LOD kit came with two bolts that we'll thread up in there and tighten them down. Once again, I already have put some blue thread locker on these. We'll get this other one in here too. Then we'll give those two a good tightening down. And now that we've got those two tightened down good, the last thing is to go back in and put these nuts back on here. Tighten those down, and we'll also tighten these body bolts back down in place. And the last step on the driver's side is to place the vanity or cosmetic covers in place. Once again, I wish I had done this, but I didn't think about it until after I got the thing put on there. So we'll go through this weird angle again and just get them screwed on there a little bit loosely and tighten them up as we go. So folks, there you have it, the finished product, the LOD rock sliders on the JLUR. I really like the way they came out. I think they look really nice. I'm really glad that I did choose to paint that pinch seam behind them, because it does look like everything kind of blends in. You can still see it if you look for it, but it kind of blends in as if it's part of the whole assembly instead of being, you know, the contrasting color back there. The thing that I really like about these rock sliders as compared to the stock is that they stick out farther than the body, and they'll protect the body in that manner. I've seen a couple guys that have gouges down here on their lower body panels. Their doors are bent a little bit because they have actually slid off over onto rocks or whatever on the trails. This will prevent that from happening because there's now a depression angle to get to the body instead of coming up to it. And these should bounce off any rocks, allow me to pivot around trees or bigger rocks on the trails as I progressively do harder and harder trails with the club. So I hope you like the way they came out. I'm pretty satisfied. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to leave a comment below. And if you haven't already done so, please click that subscribe button, as it means a lot to me and it helps to support the channel. Lastly, please follow 4LowRocks on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, happy wheeling.